When you embrace the idea that your self-worth is non-negotiable, you step into a space of incredible personal power. Your value as a person is not something that can be handed to you by another, nor is it something that can be taken away. It is intrinsic, woven into the very fabric of who you are. Recognizing this truth is the first step in becoming someone who commands respect, admiration, and genuine connection. A woman who understands her worth doesn't seek external validation to feel complete. She doesn't wait for someone else to tell her she is enough because she already knows it. Her actions, choices, and demeanor reflect a deep inner confidence. She approaches life not from a place of seeking approval, but from a place of living authentically and with purpose. This authenticity is magnetic because it is rare. Men, and people in general, are naturally drawn to individuals who carry themselves with this sense of clarity and assurance. It's not about arrogance or entitlement. It's about the quiet, unshakable knowledge that you deserve respect simply because you exist. This confidence isn't loud or boastful, it's steady and calm. It doesn't need to demand attention because it naturally commands it. In relationships, this understanding of self-worth shifts the dynamics entirely. A woman who knows her value isn't afraid to walk away from situations that don't honor her. She doesn't cling to unhealthy relationships or tolerate disrespect because she recognizes that her peace, happiness, and dignity are too precious to compromise. This doesn't mean she's closed off or unwilling to invest in others. On the contrary, it means she gives and loves freely, but only in spaces where her value is acknowledged and reciprocated. When you operate from a place of self-worth, you also stop seeking fulfillment from external sources. You understand that your happiness and completeness are your responsibility, not anyone else's. This independence allows you to engage with others from a place of abundance rather than lack. You're not looking for someone to fill a void, you're looking for someone to complement the fullness you already embody. This approach changes how others perceive and interact with you. People are drawn to those who don't need constant reassurance because they exude stability and confidence. For men, this is particularly compelling. A woman who values herself becomes someone worth valuing in return. Her presence becomes a privilege, not a given. Living with non-negotiable self-worth isn't always easy. Society often conditions us to seek validation externally, to measure our value by others' opinions. But reclaiming your self-worth is an act of self-love and self-respect that pays dividends in every area of life. It sets the foundation for healthier relationships, greater personal achievements, and a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment. In embracing this truth, you don't just become someone who commands respect, you become someone who inspires others to do the same. Your confidence and authenticity become a beacon, lighting the way for others to recognize their own worth and embrace their own power. That's the real magic of living with non-negotiable self-worth. Independence is one of the most attractive traits a person can have. It's not just about being able to stand on your own 2 feet financially or logistically. It's about cultivating a life that is rich and fulfilling on your own terms. Independence speaks to self-sufficiency, self-respect, and a willingness to take responsibility for your own happiness. This kind of strength is magnetic because it shows that you are whole and complete without relying on someone else to fill a void. An independent woman is someone who knows what she wants and isn't afraid to pursue it. She sets her own goals, makes her own decisions, and builds her life with intention. This doesn't mean she doesn't value relationships or partnerships. It simply means she doesn't need them to define her or give her a sense of purpose. Independence is a choice to thrive as an individual, which allows you to bring your best self into any connection. For men, this level of independence is incredibly compelling. An independent woman doesn't smother or cling. She doesn't demand constant attention or reassurance because her happiness isn't tied to someone else's actions or presence. She has her own passions, interests, and pursuits that keep her grounded. This balance creates a dynamic where the man feels like he's part of her life, not her entire life. Independence also creates respect. When you build your own life and take charge of your destiny, people see you as strong and capable. They understand that your value doesn't come from being attached to someone else. It comes from your ability to navigate the world with confidence and grace. This self-assuredness naturally earns admiration and respect, qualities that are crucial in any healthy relationship. Furthermore, independence fosters personal growth. When you rely on yourself to meet your needs, you're more likely to take risks, learn from failures, and push yourself out of your comfort zone. These experiences make you a more interesting, dynamic, and resilient person. They give you stories to tell, lessons to share, and a deeper understanding of who you are. This depth and complexity make you not only attractive, but also deeply inspiring to those around you. It's important to note that independence doesn't mean isolation or a lack of connection. It's about creating a balance where you can thrive as an individual while also forming meaningful relationships. An independent person values connection but doesn't rely on it for their sense of identity. This creates healthier dynamics because the relationship becomes a choice rather than a necessity. In the end, independence is about freedom, the freedom to be yourself, to chase your dreams, and to live a life that feels authentic and true. It's about showing the world that you don't just survive on your own, you thrive. And in that thriving, you become a beacon of strength, resilience, and magnetism that draws others to you in the most genuine and meaningful way. Independence isn't just attractive, it's empowering. It's a declaration that you are enough, just as you are. Boundaries are not walls you build to keep people out. They are guidelines that define how you want to be treated. And they serve as a powerful form of self-respect. When you set boundaries, you communicate to others that you value yourself, your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being. Boundaries create clarity and structure, and they show others where you stand. They are not only crucial for your personal peace, but also essential for cultivating healthy relationships built on mutual respect. When you enforce boundaries, you teach people how to treat you. This isn't about controlling others, it's about defining what you will and will not accept. If someone consistently disregards your boundaries, it reveals more about their lack of respect than it does about your expectations. This is where the strength of boundaries becomes apparent. They help you identify who values you and who doesn't. A person who respects your boundaries is someone who respects you, period. In relationships, boundaries allow for a balance of connection and individuality. They prevent codependency, where one person sacrifices their needs for the other, and they encourage open communication. By clearly expressing your boundaries, you set the tone for honesty and mutual understanding. This creates a safe space where both partners feel valued and heard. A relationship without boundaries is like a ship without a compass that drifts aimlessly, and eventually it sinks. Establishing boundaries requires courage, especially if you've been conditioned to prioritize others' needs over your own. Society often teaches us to avoid conflict, to be agreeable, and to accommodate others, even at the expense of our well-being. But boundaries challenge this narrative by asserting that your needs matter too. They remind you that self-care isn't selfish, it's necessary. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you're difficult or unkind. It means you're honest about what you need to thrive. For example, if you need time alone to recharge, setting that boundary allows you to show up as your best self for others. If you set a boundary around how you're spoken to, you create an environment where respect is non-negotiable. These boundaries are acts of love, both for yourself and for those you engage with. Boundaries are also a test of character. A person who reacts negatively to your boundaries isn't someone who values or respects you. On the other hand, someone who honors your boundaries shows emotional maturity and genuine care. Boundaries become a filter, allowing you to build stronger relationships with those who uplift and support you. Finally, boundaries reinforce your self-worth. Each time you set a boundary, you send a message to yourself that you are worthy of respect and care. This builds confidence and resilience, allowing you to navigate life with integrity and strength. Boundaries are not barriers, they are bridges to healthier, more fulfilling connections. They empower you to live authentically and to engage with others in ways that are meaningful and enriching. Respect yourself enough to set boundaries and watch how the world starts to respect you in return. Emotional detachment often carries a misunderstood reputation. It's not about being cold, indifferent, or shutting people out. It's about creating a space where you can separate your emotions from the control of external circumstances. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop allowing things outside your control to dictate your inner peace. This mindset fosters resilience, self-awareness, and strength, qualities that are essential for thriving in relationships and in life. When you detach emotionally, you reclaim your power. In relationships, this can be transformative. Too often, people tie their emotional state to their partner's actions, reactions, or even approval. This dependency creates an unhealthy dynamic where one person holds too much influence over the other's happiness. Emotional detachment breaks this cycle. It allows you to maintain your sense of self, even in the face of challenges. You can care deeply about someone while still standing firm in your values, boundaries, and emotional well-being. Detachment also reduces unnecessary drama and emotional turbulence. When you step back from reactive behavior, you gain clarity. You're no longer swept up in the heat of the moment or consumed by what others think or feel about you. Instead, you learn to approach situations with calm and composure. This doesn't mean you suppress your feelings. It means you observe them, understand them, and choose how to respond rather than react. In relationships, emotional detachment fosters mutual respect. When you show that your happiness and stability are not solely dependent on someone else, it encourages balance. You become less likely to cling or demand constant validation. This creates space for the other person to feel valued for who they are, not for what they can do for you emotionally. Detachment inspires a healthy give and take dynamic where both individuals can grow and thrive independently while still supporting one another. Moreover, detachment allows you to handle setbacks and challenges with grace. When you're not emotionally tethered to specific outcomes, you become more adaptable and open to possibilities. A setback no longer feels like the end of the world. It becomes a lesson, an opportunity to pivot, or a stepping stone to something better. Emotional detachment teaches you to trust the process and believe that you can handle whatever comes your way. Detachment also nurtures self-love and self-reliance. It shifts the focus inward, encouraging you to find fulfillment within yourself rather than seeking it externally. When you cultivate this inner strength, you become more grounded and less susceptible to emotional manipulation or dependency. You realize that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's opinion or treatment of you. This realization is liberating, empowering, and deeply transformative. Ultimately, emotional detachment is an act of self-preservation and self-respect. It doesn't mean shutting out love or connection. It means approaching them from a place of strength and balance. By detaching from what you can't control, you gain mastery over what you can, your responses, your peace, and your journey. In this space of detachment, you find freedom, a freedom that allows you to love and grow without losing yourself in the process. Knowing your value is one of the most profound acts of self-respect and self-love you can practice. It is not about arrogance or entitlement. It's about recognizing your worth and refusing to settle for anything that diminishes your dignity, happiness, or growth. This principle applies to all aspects of life, but in relationships, it is transformative. When you understand your value, you gain the strength to walk away from situations and people who do not honor it. Walking away is not a sign of weakness. It is a declaration of strength. It's a statement that you will not tolerate disrespect, neglect, or mistreatment, no matter how much you care for someone. Too often, people stay in relationships out of fear of being alone, fear of starting over, or fear of losing something familiar. But staying in a situation that drains your spirit and erodes your confidence is far more damaging than the uncertainty of moving on. And knowing your value begins with introspection. You must ask yourself, what do I deserve? This question isn't about superficial desires. It's about identifying the qualities that align with your values and needs. Respect, kindness, honesty, and support should never be negotiable. When you internalize these non-negotiables, you set a standard for how you expect to be treated. Walking away doesn't mean you stop caring or that the relationship didn't matter. It means you care enough about yourself to prioritize your well-being. It's about recognizing when a situation no longer serves you and having the courage to choose yourself. This decision often requires immense bravery because it goes against the human tendency to cling to the familiar, even when it's harmful. Walking away also sends a powerful message to others. It demonstrates that you are not afraid to stand up for yourself and that you value your peace over pleasing someone else. This kind of self-assurance is magnetic. It commands respect and admiration. People are drawn to those who know their worth because it shows they are confident, independent, and emotionally mature. Knowing your value doesn't mean you'll never face disappointment or heartache. Relationships are complex, and even the healthiest ones require effort and compromise. However, when you know your worth, you can distinguish between compromise and self-sacrifice. Compromise is mutual and respectful. Self-sacrifice leaves you feeling depleted and undervalued. Walking away is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new chapter. It opens the door for better opportunities, healthier relationships, and personal growth. It allows you to focus on building a life that reflects your true worth and attracts people who uplift and inspire you. Ultimately, knowing your value and walking away is about reclaiming your power. It's about choosing to live authentically, unapologetically, and with unwavering respect for yourself. When you honor your worth, you set the stage for a life filled with love, respect, and purpose, a life where you never settle for less than you deserve.